Over the last 12 months, I've been shooting on the Sony A7S III, from large client projects to shooting for my own personal YouTube channels. And in the last 12 months, my opinion on professional camera equipment has changed significantly. I would always think that having a big camera rig with all the bells and whistles was going to give me the best image quality. I was wrong. For me, I would just never buy this camera. It's not reliable. G'day everyone, in this video we're pairing up the A7S III against the A7 IV. Now both of these cameras are superb bits of kit. Coming from someone who's used the Red, the Sony A7S III, the FX6, I think the A7 IV has its place. Now both cameras are great, but at different things. Now if you're a photographer, you're absolutely going to froth at the fact that the A7 IV has 33 megapixels. But if you're a videographer, you're probably also going to froth at the fact that the Sony A7S III has full frame 4K 120 frames a second. And that's why these cameras are so different yet so good, and it really depends on what type of lenses you have in your kit as well. If you have a kit full of full frame lenses like me, then you're probably not going to see the A7 IV as a very good investment, because when I shoot, I like to shoot a lot of things at 4K 120. Now if I was to do that in the A7 IV, I would have a 1.5 times crop on my lens. So you'd need a super wide angle lens to get the shot that you would if you were on the A7S III. Now that's a bit of a deal breaker for me. I don't have any Super 35 lenses in my kit. If I did, the A7 IV might look a little bit more appealing, but I have all full frame lenses, and the fact that the A7 IV crops in 1.5 times, if you switch it over to 120 or anything higher than 25 or 30 frames a second, even 60 frames a second, it crops in 1.5 times. That's just a deal breaker for me. Another issue I have with the A7 IV is the overheating. I've heard that it is not a reliable camera. It is not ideal for professional shooting if that's your only camera that you have. Now that's why I purchased the A7S III, because it's reliable, it's been tested, it's a professional camera, so to speak. Whereas the A7 IV is known to overheat, and I just don't think I could trust it as a professional. Some of the great things about the A7 IV is obviously that 33 megapixel still that you can get out of it. It has all the great things that the A7S III has, like the eye autofocus, S-Log3, 422 10-bit. What the A7S III doesn't have is a 7K sensor downsampled to a 4K sensor. Now this is going to make the image out of the A7 IV really crisp, really clean, and really sharp. Like I said before, great for photographers, but if your main gig is videography, I would point you in the direction of the A7S III. As a professional, I cannot afford the camera to overheat. If that's the only camera I have on a shoot with a client and the bloody thing overheats, there's no coming back from that. One of the main reasons I love the Sony A7S III is it is full frame across the board. So you can shoot 4K, 25, 30, 50, 60, depending what PAL NTSC you're in, and also 4K 120. And that's only 10% crop instead of 1.5 times. Another bummer about the Sony A7 IV is it only has one CF Express card slot, whereas the Sony A7S III has two. And while those cards are super expensive, they are so reliable, and I love them, because transferring data from your professional shoots down to your computer is so quick with these cards. You also know they're very robust. They're not going to fail you, just like your typical SD cards. One thing that I do find really exciting and interesting about the Sony A7 IV is the focus breathing compensation. Now this is amazing technology, and I'm sure that hopefully in an update soon, the Sony A7S III will be getting this feature. So it's up to you. If you are trying to save a little bit of money and you don't think that the 1.5 times crop is going to affect you too much, then by all means go for the Sony A7 IV. If you are in a professional environment and you are relying solely on this camera to capture everything you need for a paying client, I would steer away from this camera. You just cannot risk the camera overheating. If you are a photographer, however, and that is your main gig, you're gonna love this camera. This thing's a beast, 33 megapixels, that's insane. And also you get to dabble in video a little bit, and it's great quality video as well. For me, I would just never buy this camera. It's not reliable. And that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below, which one would you buy, or which one have you bought, the A7 IV or the Sony A7S III? And if you did like this video, like always guys, please like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.